the greatest burden for any man is unfulfilled potential.
Why do you think people are not living up to their potential?
Because people don't actually know what they want.
Failure is not the lack of success, it's lack of learning. The more you fail, the more you learn and the faster you grow. Why did you pick this quote?
Because a lot of people are afraid to fail. A lot of people are afraid of loss. But they don't understand the gain that comes with it. Pain is natural, it's God-given, and it's very helpful because pain is like a warning sign that you're doing something. So I started to, write these notes, write. And then I was like, you know what? This already looks like a book. We all have two minds. There is conscious mind and subconscious mind. The conscious mind is where the five senses are, and the subconscious mind is where the motherboard is, processing unit, the autopilot. There's a universal law, a natural law, that is called the law of attraction. If you are thinking a certain level, a certain frequency, in order to achieve a certain goal, you're on that vibrational frequency. Everything else is frequency. Even Einstein said it. Everything is energy.
How does luck play into all of this?
I believe it's also frequency. You feel like you deserve it. You feel like you want it. You feel like if you achieve it, you will do so many good things for yourself and others. So you'll see it.
Who is that one person in your mind when you wrote these books?
Myself.
Yourself?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes. It is like I'm talking to myself.
From banking to being a professor in Kuwait, to being author of these two books, to having his own YouTube channel about reviewing books, welcome to yet another episode of Brew with Abdu. In today's episode, we have Mr. Khalid, who is a psychiatrist and a professor. Mr. Khalid, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Most welcome. The pleasure is ours. Mr. Khalid, what do you think is the ultimate potential a human being can have?
There's a famous quote or saying that I have learned, and that it says, the greatest burden for any man is unfulfilled potential. Like they say, if you're really living up to your potential, you would do so many good things. Like most people are not doing up to their potential. And this is a fact. This is based on research, and this is based on so many studies.
So why do you think people are not living up to their potential?
Because people don't actually know what they want. If people sat with themselves and got educated on what they truly want in order to have a meaningful life, they would excel and do 100 times better. But a lot of people are just living based on norms, environment, family and friends, culture, go to school, get a job, and then, go out after job and then go home, sleep. And that is not, I believe, a very meaningful life which can fulfill your potential. If you really want to go the extra mile, if you really want to leave a fingerprint, if you really want to see how strong you are, you need to know what things that you really care for and really want, so you can excel and develop and go ahead from there.
Right. How does one break the chains, and find that potential in him or her?
Actually, studies show that it's according to two things. Okay, it's either you have a wake-up call, like by yourself, like suddenly you'll be like, you know what, I think I need to do more, I need to do better. But that's very rare. That's like maybe 10, 20% of people.
Right.
80%, 90, 70% of the people, they have to go through trauma, disaster, a breakdown, bankruptcy. So it has to be something external, negative, not internal. It's better if it becomes internal, because why do you need to wait until you actually tap into your potential? But a lot of people are lazy, We are bodies that are meant to not go up to our potential, but just to survive, like food, shelter, and security. Right. So in order for a person to actually tap into their potential, they have to know what they want through education. Okay, and the most easiest way is to do it through writing, because if you just rely on your mind and thoughts, it will be too vague. It will be too cloudy. It will be too crowded. You would lose track.
Correct.
But if you ink it, it will be straight to the point. It will be very clear. And then once you read it, you'll be like, you know what? Actually, I can do something. I can work from there.
That's true. This is an interesting point that you brought, about trauma. I've seen both sides of the coin. Some people, they say that, you shouldn't have trauma, you shouldn't suffer a lot, and then there's another side who says you should suffer more in order to become successful, in order to, achieve those things in life. Which side are you on?
Well, like majority of the people, I was just like everybody else, and I went through trauma. And that's when I was in the banking industry. And during COVID, which shocked a lot of people, bankrupted a lot of businesses, and, caused a huge change.
Right.
And I came to notice and realize I've been doing something for 8 years or 10 years that I really don't find any taste. Now, all due respect to the people who work in banks and the banking world and all of that, but I thought to myself, I'm not even giving 10% of my potential. So why not start taking life a little bit more serious? Why not actually facing myself and actually knowing what I want? Maybe life will be more tasteful.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that all comes down to self-awareness, you mean to say?
Yeah. So the trauma basically was, because, when COVID happened, a lot of people used to get fired and all of that. So, I used to see that in my eyes, like when I was at work. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that insecurity will open a door for me into tapping into my potential. So it was like a external threat. Okay, some people go through bankruptcy, some people go through health issues,
right.
and then they start being healthy and taking life more serious, because they have seen the other side of the coin. When things go really bad, what could happen?
Right.
So then I thought, okay, if I learned how to learn, and if I learned personal development and education and all of that, where could I be? How far could I go? And how would I feel if similar trauma was faced,
right.
similar issues? So it made total sense. And then it was just like book after book, step after step, training after training, belief after belief,
Right.
And then, it went very well.
Can you avoid pain and suffering?
Suffering, yes, you can avoid it, but pain, no. Actually, suffering is mind-made. It's like comes in cycles. It comes and goes. And there is no benefit to it.
So it's the product of your mind, is that what you're saying?
Like suffering, like stress, for example. The same thought comes and goes 10,000 times, right?
Okay.
Once we go through like something negative or stress, you kind of notice like it is the same thought. This thing has already happened and finished. Why am I still thinking it again and again and again? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But pain is natural. It's God-given, and it's very helpful, because if it wasn't for the pain, if I, for example, broke your arms or legs, you wouldn't notice, and it could lead to further damage and injuries, right? So pain is like a warning sign that you're doing something, okay? But pain and suffering are completely different.
Correct.
I went into a whole seminar and course by Sadhguru, if you know him.
Yeah.
And he spoke about this point, like happiness, pain, suffering, and all these different mind states. So I was like, wow, that's very interesting. And then I started to apply it, and it gave me more control on my thoughts and brain. Like, why would I think about something 10,000 times that is causing me to be depressed and is not leading to any solution?
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is suffering. Okay, that's not pain. That's not helpful. That's simply just suffering. So it helps me to actually stop it.
But I think it's more easier said than done. Right?
Absolutely.
It's very difficult to stay away from the suffering.
Yes.
So how do you train your mind with that?
Well, you could have a couple of things that can help you as tools. You could put like reminders on your phone. Okay, you could call it whatever you want, like awareness time, for example. Okay, repeat every day, 10 a.m. Okay, so that's one way to train your conscious and subconscious mind. Another way is, for example, like at my place, at my home, I have written like a small paper, and I place it in front of the TV that says psychological time off. Okay, I learned that from one of the best books that really has helped me, which is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
And he teaches you how to actually think about the now. Forget the past, forget the future. Put 99% of your focus and energy in the now, and everything will fall into place. So he said there are two types of time. There is mechanical time, which is the clock, and there is psychological time. Psychological time is mainly the past and the future, which is all, mainly negative, mainly not true, and it leads to suffering. So if you can turn off that psychological time, you would be happy,
Okay.
If you just turn off these negative thoughts, you would be left with happiness. You don't need to increase the happiness to be happy. You just need to turn off the negative and you'll be fine.
Right. So in your books, you've gone in depth about conscious mind and subconscious mind. So before I tap into that, I want to ask you, why did you write these? Like, as in the industry of banking, nobody writes these books.
No.
Well, what made you write them?
Well, thanks to, actually, I give very good praise to the academic studies, because that time, before writing these books, I was doing my master's degree. Okay, and now I'm doing my PhD. And master's degree, postgraduate, they teach you to read and write a lot. Okay, they train your mind to do 10 times more than you used to do in your bachelor's.
Okay.
Because now you're tapping into another level of education, and it requires a lot of reading and a lot of writing and a lot of presentations. So that all shapes your personality, that all shapes your mindset, that all shapes your vocabulary and your intellect. Okay.
You were doing masters in?
Social science.
Social science.
Social science.
All right.
So I've already went into that stepping stone in my master's studies, where I used to have a lot of content, a lot of research, a lot of articles. So when I finished the master's, and the actual professors used to tell us, like, hey, you guys are happy, you guys are now sad and depressed because we're giving you a lot of content. Wait till you graduate and see what will happen to you. And we're like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, basically, your mind has been stretched, okay? And all of a sudden, there is nothing to fill it up. So you will go crazy.
Right.
So by default, you will start to, doing your research and reading and writing. So it turned out to be true. So when I finished, I was like, hey, I'm not used to this. I'm used to reading like 4 hours a day, writing at least 2 hours a day. The pen has always been, everywhere I go. So I started to read. Okay. Plus, that the shock I got from my career. So I was like, okay, let's start to see how I can better live my life. So a lot of research, like if you go into research, the number one tool of successful people being successful is books. Okay. It is not trauma. It is not friends. It is not anything else but books. If you do your research, you will see that, because I've done it myself.
Okay.
So I was like, really? Can a 5 KD or a 3 KD book make someone extremely successful? That's too good to be true.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Maybe that's true. Let's give it a shot. Because also in Quran it says the first word is Iqra, right?
Right.
God knows how our brain works.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let's start to see, what we can do there. So I started to search, best-selling books that are related to being successful or changing life. And so I bought these books and I started reading, and I was like, okay, let's put it into action, because I already had that habit of reading from my studies. So things started to actually change for the better. I felt very lighter. My energy increased so high. And so, I was like, okay, now I am having all this content. I need to, take it out.
Correct.
I cannot condense it in my mind because it's getting too much.
True. Or else you'll forget it.
You will forget it.
Yeah.
You won't apply it, and it won't even be valuable. It won't have any meaning. So I was like, okay. So I started posting some on blogs, social media and all. And then I was like, you know what? No, there are some content which I need to actually journal. I need to actually write them down in my notebook. So I started writing and writing and writing what I've been learning, just to see, because most of these personal development books and psychology books tells you to actually use a pen and paper, because that's all you need to change. Okay, because it's proven. So I started using pen and paper to do these exercises. Like, for example, both of my books, end of each chapter, I put down exercises that you do in order to make sure you have actually grasped what that chapter is about.
Okay.
So you do them in actual practical real life. So I started to, write these notes, write. And then I was like, you know what? This already looks like a book. Like 3 or 4 notes that, I can easily summarize and adjust and, publish a book. So why not? So I was like, okay, let's start and do it. So I did it. So the first book took me about, average they take me about 6 months. Oof. To actually write them. Yeah.
Lovely. So come back to the conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, these 2 types of minds in your book?
We all have 2 minds. Okay. Those who actually read and go into a little bit psychology and learnings, they understand that there is conscious mind and subconscious mind. The conscious mind is where the 5 senses are. Smell, hear, touch. And the subconscious mind is where the motherboard is, the processing unit, the autopilot. Okay. The subconscious mind is what controls the conscious mind. But initially, the conscious mind has to give orders to the subconscious mind.
Okay.
So the more you do it, the more repetition, then it gets installed in the subconscious mind. Okay. The subconscious mind cannot reject any idea, good or bad.
Okay.
The conscious mind is like a filter. It can accept and reject. It's like, okay, is this good? No. Is this good? Yes, let's do it.
Right.
So if you know an idea, or if you have a goal and you really want it to achieve it, if you do not put it into your subconscious mind, it will be very hard for you to actually manifest.
Okay.
It will be very hard for you to achieve, because it will not be autopilot. Okay. You need it to be autopilot, like you're doing it 24/7, even while sleeping, even while working. It has to be part of you,
Correct.
Like they say.
Just like driving a car.
Just like
you don't think about that you want to making a right turn or making a left turn. It's just happening. Everything is like reflex. Your book starts with this quote, actually. So I want to pick a brain on this.
Sure.
It's like, failure is not the lack of success. It's lack of learning. If you're not learning, you're not growing. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the faster you grow. It's by Jim Quick, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, Jim Quick.
So please, why did you pick this quote particularly?
Because a lot of people are afraid to fail. A lot of people are afraid of loss, because they know failure will lead to some loss. But they don't understand the gain that comes with it is 100 times more than the loss. So it's fine to lose a little bit if you're gaining that much,
Right.
If you do the maths, it's worth it.
Right.
But people always actually have fear of loss, because there are so many different fears. But the fear of loss is one of the most major thing that stops people from stepping outside their comfort zone and changing their personality, or changing their thoughts and habits, or changing their friends, or changing what they do in their daily routine. They're like, you know what, I'm used to this, I'm comfortable with this. Why would I want to do something that can lead me to a disaster? You know what? I'm satisfied. But hey, you won't be in a disaster. You already know what's right or wrong, You already know what's good or bad. The only thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to excel. you're going to be better. You're going to have more skills. You're going to be more professional because now you have a direction. Now you know where you're going, and you got like feedback. You can track yourself and your success.
Right. I have two scenarios, and I want you to answer that. So there's a scenario where your friends are behind you, and you're ahead in life. And in the other, there are two groups, but the same scenario. In one, your friends are behind you, and the other, both, even the friends are behind you.
Okay.
And in order to succeed in life, I've heard a lot of great thinkers say this, that you need to change your group. You need to change your inner circle. What do you think? Should you change your inner circle, or should you let them grow with you as well?
No. It's much easier for you to actually shift away than you changing people. Like until today, I've been trying to change some people. I could not do it. It is not easy. Like changing myself is not easy. How can I change someone else? Because it is not meant for them. You know, this change, this goal, this dream, or this vision is meant for you, not them. They have a different vision.
Okay.
You know, they have a different purpose.
Interesting.
They have a different thing. So you cannot put your role in their role, and you cannot switch positions and roles. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you knew your purpose before them. You knew your calling, or you knew what you really like to do, and you're willing to do it for free before them. It doesn't mean that they will not also find it, but most often they will find it through trauma, through a huge failure, a huge loss, when their mind gets completely empty and they start to question everything. The only difference between really successful people and not so successful is the successful, they did their research. If you search, you will find, okay?
Right.
These guys who did not become as successful, who you're seeking to change, the only thing they're not doing is searching for their meaning, or searching how to become more successful, or searching how to be happy, for example.
Right. You also talk about frequencies in your book.
Yes.
Can you shed some more light on that? Like, from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, then from your subconscious mind to your actions with your body.
Yes.
And then from your actions to connecting to other people. You said, like, if your book has brought me today, there is a frequency between us.
Absolutely.
So what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is I got this training from Bob Proctor. Have you heard about the Secret movie or the book The Secret?
Not really.
Okay, there's a universal law, a natural law, that is called the law of attraction. Okay. And there are so many different laws, by the way. Like, there's one book by Brian Tracy, I've read it, who's a personal development legend. And he talks about, 100 universal laws.
Okay.
You know, the law of attraction, the law of compensation, the law of contradiction, and so many different things. And he explains all of them. So those who tap into psychology actually, are more familiar with these laws. So what Bob Proctor spoke about frequencies is an amazing training. It really helped me out, and that is the concept called shifting your paradigm. Okay. So basically what it is, if you are thinking a certain level, a certain frequency, a certain thought, in order to achieve a certain goal, okay, you're on that vibrational frequency. Everything else is frequency. Even Einstein said it. Everything is energy. It's kind of the same. It is the things that you don't see. Sometimes you tap into a room or go to a place and you feel so peaceful and happy and relaxed. That is the frequency that they're operating in, the frequency of love. There is frequency of fear. There is frequency of anxiety. There is frequency of anger. Your body can actually respond to it. It is a natural thing. Okay. And then it will give your mind, certain actions, what to do in that situation. So if you want to shift your paradigm in order to shift your life, in order to shift your mindset, your results, your financial balance, your emotional balance, your psychological balance, whatever, you have to think at a different frequency, because it's that thought which has the energy that is causing the result.
Okay.
So results are not just randomly happening. They're happening based on thoughts and based on energy. Every single thought you have is an energy. Okay. And there are machines that they use in order to measure a lot of people with trauma, depression, and all of these issues, in order to see where they are at in their vibrational frequency or energy, so they can heal them and tell them what to do and so forth. So the highest frequency is love. Okay. The strongest frequency is love. Okay, so you have love, you've got friendship, you've got loyalty, you've got all these good things that are on the higher end. I've explained this in my first book. And then you've got the other side, which is anger, anxiety, depression, decay, and so forth and so forth. They are on the lower frequency, which is frequency is like a wave. a brainwave, you know,
Yeah.
or waves. So once you start writing your goals and start seeing where you're going in the direction and start progressing through, you know, books, through training, through work, through thinking right, through even religion, through whatever, you start to shift your frequency from low to high. Okay, your thinking change. You start to think big. You start to have big dreams. Like sometimes, you know, you would say to someone and he would think and he would laugh. Like, why you're thinking too big?
Right.
This is all in the movies.
Right.
And you're like, no, I don't think so. You know, I can see it. I can feel it, you know. So it happens gradually, actually. You know, you cannot think like really high. Like we don't have Elon Musk's mind. Why? Because he's been doing it for so long. We don't have Bill Gates. We don't have, you know, Steve Jobs that time, his mind, because they've been doing it for so long. But once you get into the habit of setting really big goals, really big dreams and purposes, you will start to tap into that frequency. And it's through habit you get to shift your paradigm. It's nothing else. It's a decision you make, and repetition of that thought to that goal you wish to achieve again and again and again will actually shift your frequency and shift your paradigm.
So that then becomes your reflection. So that instills in you in your subconscious mind.
Absolutely. Self-image, subconscious mind, you will feel a lot of things are changing, you know, so it will rub off very easily. You will see people start to move away from you, people will start to come closer to you. Your whole life will change because it all depends on your thoughts. You know, thoughts are the key to changing your life, basically.
That is so deep. How does luck play into all of this?
I believe it's also frequency. It's like, you know, you feel like you deserve it. You feel like you want it. You feel like if you achieve it, you will do so many good things for yourself and others. So you'll see it. And one of the best quotes that I have read by Donald Trump, because I read all his books, and he's like, the harder you work, the luckier you get, you know? Because if you tap into luck a lot, it's very complicated, you know? Luck can be sudden. Some people say there is no such thing as luck. Some people say, no, there are lucky people who didn't do anything and they have everything. But, you know, if you want to make it very easy to understand, okay, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Do you believe without doing hard work, you can get lucky and you can be successful?
I wouldn't be in that place because I wouldn't enjoy or understand success. If you cannot celebrate your success because you truly understand it and you can do it again and again and again because you know it by heart,
right,
then it's not for you. It's like, you know, someone else, you just took it temporary for a couple of days or weeks or a couple of years and it's going to go. So that's why when they made an interview with Bill Gates and they said, what if we take away Microsoft from you? Okay, you're the richest man. What if we take it away from you? What would you do? And he'll be like, I would build it better and faster than the first time because I know how it works.
True.
You know, so that's real success. And that's why he's been number one since all these years.
Right. Also, I think someone who's lucky in having success, that might not be success for him. Like that success could be to someone else.
Exactly.
If I look at that person, I'll be like, okay, he's successful. But internally, he might not feel successful because he's not achieved that.
Absolutely.
He's not done it by himself.
Absolutely.
He just received it.
Yeah. I mean, if you cannot really be fulfilled and satisfied, you will never see happiness. Okay. I was just in this training course a couple of days back about happiness. By Harv Eker, the best-selling book of Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. And he explained that he was very broke, and then he became very rich, but he was still depressed. So he found out like, hey, money is not the answer. So what is the answer? So he did, I don't know how many years of research about how to be happy. And then he made this training which says, it's a mind state, it's a mindset, okay? If you just remove your negative thoughts, you will be left with the positive, happy thoughts. You don't need to go and increase the benchmark, okay, in order to become happy. Because if you keep chasing happiness outside, it will be fluctuating. Now you're putting your happiness in a condition. If I travel, I'll be happy. If I have 1 million KD, I'll be happy. If I have a six-pack, I'll be happy. Why you're putting conditions to it? Right. You're making it harder and harder. Okay, even if you actually did achieve these things, now your happiness needs a bigger goal.
True.
To actually achieve it. So why you're putting yourself in a lot of stress and pain?
Right.
Just take the decision of saying, hey, if I remove my negative thoughts, of my awareness of my thoughts, I'll be left with happy thoughts. I don't need to tie it or link it to anything else. I don't need that. I can just be happy with anything. That's why a lot of millionaires, they are very depressed and they commit suicide. True. Stars, actors, singers. So why did they do that? Because it's not about the money. It's not about anything external conditional. It's 100% internal and mindset. And all it takes is a decision, which a lot of people are afraid to do. and you decide that, hey, I'm not going to tie my happiness to anything else. I'm just going to be happy with even drinking this water. You know, I don't care about how other people look at me. Okay,
Right.
they can be miserable and depressed. I choose to be happy.
True.
I choose to have happy feelings, happy energy, because it just feels better, right?
Right.
So yeah,
There's an author, Morgan Housel. He wrote the book called The Psychology of Money.
yes, the psychology of money.
Yeah, in that he says happiness is equal. There he has this formula: happiness is equal to reality minus expectations. So if
Yes.
you remove expectations from your life, from your reality, reality is equal to happiness.
That's it.
If expectation is zero, happiness is equal to reality.
Yeah,
So it's
yes.
similar to what you're saying. If
Absolutely.
you remove the conditions from your life, that if this happens, it's only going to make me happy. So I
You will
think
be
that's
left with you will be left with pure happiness, nothing else, and you will make it very easy for you to be happy. You see, a lot of people, like even some of my friends actually that I sit with, it is very hard to make them laugh. Like I have to work very hard, say a very strong joke or do something that is very unique. Then they will like put a smile, and most of the time, even you can tell by their faces, right? Like they'll always have like an angry face or a very scared face.
Yeah.
And a happy face will always show, right?
True.
That it's easy to make this person happy. Like you just smile on his face and he will smile back.
Absolutely.
So the only difference is they made it very conditional. They made it very hard. And these guys said, you know what? I don't care about other people. I'm just gonna, I choose to be happy, regardless of the results, regardless of the conditions that I put into it, regardless of anything. I can just sit down, look at the wall, and be happy.
Right. But I think there's the other side of this coin where it's something called existential crisis.
Okay.
So like if you remove yourself completely from these conditions, you start questioning your life. Like, what is the meaning of my life? If I don't have this, if I don't have that, why am I even alive? I should be dead, instead of this.
This is really good, actually. This is the point which that a big change will happen in your life for the good. Because now you're putting a pause to your life, you're stepping outside and looking at it from above. You're not too caught up in the daily routine that you don't know what you're doing.
Correct.
Because you can't see the direction, You have to connect the dots looking a little bit further. You cannot connect them while looking down.
True.
So they always say that when you're very confused, it's good because you're learning something. A lot of people are not willing to tap into this unknown feeling. They would rather stay depressed and negative feeling that is causing them pain and health issues than actually tapping somewhere of unknown. What if that unknown feeling, what if that unknown state that usually comes from crisis for a good thing, okay? Like if you do your research, most people who go through crisis or countries that go through war actually come up better.
Absolutely.
Because now they know the meaning of life. Now they know what they were living with and what they can actually live with now.
That's true.
So I that's why I also mentioned fail faster, fail forward. I actually took that quote from Denzel Washington, the actor, and he said it in his speech at the university that fail big, fail fast, fail as much as you can, because you will understand what failure is. You will understand the meaning of happiness. You cannot have happiness if you don't have negativity or failure. You cannot have success without failure.
Correct.
You need both to actually distinguish. Okay, that's failing, that's success.
Yeah.
Imagine if you just had success. Okay, what is failing?
Yeah.
Am I really succeeding, or am I doing the right thing or no? Right?
True.
So most of the time, you do need the both sides of the coin.
And just today, I watched a reel. It had a quote that when you take a risk, the reward to taking that risk is 2,000%. But when you lose, you're only losing 100%.
100%.
So the difference is far greater.
So much greater. Absolutely. And once you get into the habit and you trust yourself, and you start to realize, because there's a famous term in psychology that's called the Imposter Syndrome. Okay, I've also made a video about it and spoke about it a lot in both of my books. And that's simply a state which is keeping a lot of people from succeeding. But a lot of successful people, athletes, movie stars, business people, they know about it because they teach it through research and education. And it's that little voice in your head that tells you, hey, Hussein, actually, this is not meant for you. Why are you doing all that? You don't need that.
Right.
Why are you putting so much pressure on yourself? So that's that silent killer that they say, we all have it. It will never go away. It will just keep increasing. All you have to do is trust yourself, build a list of accomplishments so you can actually have a reference to look back and be like, hey, yes, maybe I don't need it, but it really felt good after I did it, after I accomplished it.
Correct. What do you think is the balance between ambition and contentment? I think overdoing your ambition can lead you to like utter failure. But I think, and having a balance with contentment, it's like, okay, I have this ambition, but where I am, I'm content with it today in my life.
Yeah.
What do you think is the perfect balance between the two?
I believe contentment is being satisfied with yourself. Okay, you see, success is fixed. It's a science. 1 + 1 = 2. If you do that for this how many years with this, you will get this. Okay,
Right.
but contentment and fulfillment is different. It's an art. It changes from Hussein to Khalid to any other person. So you have to know, okay, maybe this thing I'll do, it will make me happy, okay, regardless of the result that I have. So you have to be very careful, like to focus on your contentment more than actually the success that you wish to have. Because some person, his success is helping the poor, you know, giving back.
Absolutely.
It's a big role. And I choose to be in that place. That's why I built a mosque and a school in Pakistan. So another person will be like, nah, you know, to me, if I have 10 million KD, that's it, I'm perfect. To me, 10 million KD means nothing. Why? Because I've already been to all the countries I want to. I've already had everything. And I don't need all that money because it comes with responsibility. And it's not mine. I have to work through it. I have to manage it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't mean that I don't want 10 million, but I'm just giving an example.
You have this formula to living a limitless life. It has the power of 3 M's. It's the mindset, method, and motivation.
Yes.
This theory plays a big role in life.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes, absolutely. You start with the mindset, and then you go to the methods, and then you go to the motivation. You need all 3, okay? If you have the mindset and you have the method, but you don't have the motivation, you will not have the guts and the power and the strength to actually pursue your mindset and the method. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you just have the motivation, which is the ambition that we spoke about, I mean, you would lead to frustration, you know?
True.
Like they say, ambition and energy without methods leads to frustration, you know, because you have so much energy, you want to do so much, but you don't know where to go.
Right.
You know, I'm sure you've been there. Like I can see that in your eyes.
I'm imagining my own life.
Same here, you know, same here. But you know, at least you know you can start with one and then build your way to the second and to the third.
Right.
You know, but you definitely need all 3. And you know, this is, for example, one clear example of science through success. It's a formula. You know, if you do these 3 things, you'll be good. If you miss on one, you won't complete the formula.
Why did you sequence it in this manner? Mindset, method, motivation.
Because you need first the mindset, and then you need the method, and lastly you need the motivation to keep you running. Okay? If you have the motivation, but you don't have that mindset of succeeding, of actually being positive about the methods that you will put to actually fulfill your goal, then it will not work. It all starts with the mind. It all starts with your thoughts, with your energy. That's why it all starts with getting educated. And it all starts with actually writing your goals or writing what you truly want. Okay? So the best investment is your mind. You cannot start from your financial aspect or from your banking aspect or from any other aspect. You have to start from your mind.
Right.
Okay? Because your mind says it all. It's basically a reflection of your results. What are your results? This is what you have in your mind. If it's serving you right, you know, just keep doing it and progress and go through. But if you are, you know, it's not giving you something right, then this simply means that there is something that you don't know about. There is knowledge that you do not yet know or understand. So you have to seek that knowledge.
Right. You know, like motivation is very proportional to your feelings.
Yeah.
The more good you feel, the more motivated you are in life.
Yeah.
But then you have an inverse reaction as well. The bad you feel, the more bad you feel, the less motivation you have. So I think when you talk about the frequency from conscious to subconscious to actions, I think we can add a point here that the motivation can turn towards discipline. So that when you're more disciplined, you don't need motivation after that. Like you said, when it becomes repetitive, that becomes your discipline. And like motivation is not required. Like even if in your worst days, if you're disciplined, you'll do the job that's required.
Absolutely. And so like you said, it's either an upward spiral or a downward spiral. And initially with having that motivation, before it becomes in your subconscious mind and becomes, you know, natural and normal to you, one of the best ways you can install that motivation is through a proximity. Okay? A proximity simply means your environment, your friends, the people who you surround with. Okay? Because just think about it. How many times that you really do want to go to the gym, but because your friend said let's go, you went.
Oh,
A lot of times.
I wish I had such a friend.
Same here. It's not easy.
It's true. It's
It
true.
is not easy. But these groups, these people actually do exist.
True.
Like once you go to events, once you go to seminars, once you go to masterminds, you will see these people. They are the 1% of the people
Correct.
who really are living a valuable, meaningful life. So you will get that. You know, why is it very helpful to continuously get educated and learn? Is because you will get new ideas from people and it will motivate you and it will push you. That's why they say always go to seminars, events, at least every 3 months.
Okay.
At least, no matter what industry you're in, no matter who you are, no matter how successful you are. Even Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they still go to trainings. They still go to seminars and they're the richest people.
Wow.
Why? Because they understand
Absolutely.
the power of a proximity, you know.
Right.
It is more valuable than strategy. It is more valuable than maybe even knowledge. Like they say, because if you think about it, if you surround yourself with 10 millionaires, okay, you see what they eat, you see what they think, you see what they talk about, you see how they dress, how they look, you see how they think, you see how they understand things. I'll give you less than a year, you'll be like them.
True.
There is no other way around it. You cannot help it. It is not like a choice. It's no longer a choice.
You know, when they say, when you write a book, you always have one character in your mind, right? Like towards whom you're writing the book to.
Yes.
So who is that one person in your mind when you wrote these books?
Myself.
Yourself?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes. It is like I'm talking to myself.
Really?
Yeah, it is. To me, these books are like journals, diaries, you know, because if you cannot apply it to yourself and if you cannot see difference in yourself, I don't recommend you actually to teach it to someone else. You know what I mean? And if you realize most of the authors and trainers, they have applied all the principles and theories and knowledge to themselves and they have said their stories and explained to them what they got before actually sharing it, you know. And it also makes total sense that before you teach me anything, have you applied it yourself?
Right.
Have you seen results? What are the results? Tell me the story. And then you will sound credible.
Right. Even like the coaches and the trainers, if they themselves have played before, they are the ones who we look up to always, rather than just like a teacher who has never done it in his life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would trust someone who's already been there, done that, than someone who's just sharing the knowledge.
Absolutely, that's so true.
Yeah.
I've always had this question in my mind: what is the difference between psychiatry and psychology?
Okay, so psychiatry is more related to severe cases and traumas and in psychological issues, and they are prescribed with medicine. Psychologists are more behavioral therapy, like how you change your thoughts. And this is more like a long term, okay? Depending on the case, like say, for example, someone is about to commit suicide, okay? They need medicine now to make them sleep, so they don't commit suicide.
Okay.
So he needs both. But once he goes to sleep and cools down, and give him like a couple of weeks or months, he needs a psychologist for the long-term fix. And the psychologist will give him all the different practices that he needs to do in order to change his life in the long run.
Right.
So the urgent matter is the psychiatrist, but the long fix, the long change, the big change is the psychologist.
Okay.
This is how I see it, at least in my experience.
Who is your favorite psychologist?
There are many actually. I have my favorite in Kuwait is Dr. Naif Al-Mattar. He came on Naif Al-Mattar.
Okay.
He came on TED Talk, and this guy is amazing.
Oh, wow, lovely.
Yeah, and I believe most of my best-selling authors that I read to and I learned day and night, and I applied their theories and principles since I started this journey, like say 5 to 7 years ago, is I see them as my heroes, as my psychologists, because these authors have done a lot of research. They have already been through a lot of trauma, and they have seen drastic changes, and all they're doing is just sharing it. Like Eckhart Tolle, Tony Robbins, Robin Sharma, and these guys, I really believe that they can. If you apply the principles, you will see big changes, because even though I've summarized like in my books, all the books that I've read, which is 200 books.
Wow.
But yeah, that are only related in psychology and stuff, and understanding the brain. But you do not need that. You do not need 200 books. I don't read them because I need them. I read them because it became a habit.
Right.
It is something I do in my free time. It is something that I enjoy doing, and learning stories in order to ingrain more these principles that I am actually applying in my life. But all you need is just that one book. And like I mentioned beginning of the podcast, The Power of Now is the book that really changed my life, that allowed me to really understand and be convinced why I should only think about the now. Okay? If you go and tell someone, hey, Don't think about anything else. Only think about now. Like me and you sitting right now talking, that's you only think about. You don't think about anything else. He will be like, are you crazy? Because, a lot of people are not conditioned that way.
That's true.
But only the successful people are.
Right.
And if you do your research, you will see. They don't, they have a plan in the future, but this is an activity that they do once a month, 1 hour, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours.
Right.
Okay. What they're doing in their daily life is implementing that plan and only thinking about the task that they have at hand right now. Because, they've been through all this chaos.
You make a big claim in your books. I think it's a very big claim that if you read my books, you will be successful in life.
Absolutely.
How can you guarantee something like that?
Because I believe science is fixed.
Okay.
Science is fixed. You apply these principles, just like, for example, weight loss. You eat this much calories, you train this many hours, this is the results you will get.
Interesting.
It's fixed. It never changes. If you do your research, you will see that yourself. And because I have seen long-lasting changes, and I have seen it with the people that I surround myself with, long-lasting changes. That's why I'm totally convinced and can say these words.
In terms of success, are you a big advocate of mental health?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think success can sometimes negatively affect mental health?
There are some cases where, yes, I've seen people really, shattered everything in their life and they're just focused on their goal. But this is the beauty of personal development, okay? This is something that I've explained in my second book, which is if you focus on these 4 major areas, and they're also mentioned in the Quran, your mental aspect, your emotional aspect, your social aspect, and your physical aspect.
Mental, social, physical? Emotional, okay.
Okay, mental, social, physical, emotional, and financial. Okay, 5. Okay. If you focus on these, you will live a balanced, healthy life, no matter how successful you are. Okay, and if I ask you a question, out of these, which one do you think is the most important one? Because there is one which is very important. Which one do you think?
That's a really difficult question.
Emotional, psychological, or emotional, psychological, same. Physical, mental, or social? You can just guess. Okay, I'll tell you.
I think, I don't know, social?
No.
Mental?
No. No.
Emotional?
No. Emotional.
Emotional, okay.
This is the most important one. You know why?
So we're not even aware of that this is most important.
Do you know why? You
need a lot of training.
You see a lot of people say financial, right?
Yeah.
Because they say, no, you cannot be broke, you cannot be poor, it's not good, you'll destroy your whole... No.
They say that it's better to cry in a Ferrari.
Yeah, but that's not true. You can be in a Ferrari and still be broke.
Right.
Because it's a feeling.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So why is it emotional? Because it is the most fluctuating one. Okay, it is the most unstable one, and it's the most one that changes from like this instantly. So, and it is they are all connected, but the emotional one is like, say, it has the heaviest workload. Okay, a lot of people don't actually reach to their goals or success because they run out of their emotional aspect, which is like what we talk about. Somebody can go into crisis from being successful. Okay, he focused on his maybe social, on his financial, on his maybe physical, but he didn't focus on his emotional. So his success won't last.
True.
And that's exactly why a lot of successful people commit suicide, because they're not satisfied with where they are. They thought, if I sacrifice everything and I reach to this goal, that's it. It's a one-way ticket. And they reach and, somebody else is more successful than them.
Sure.
And, they get in this shock. Their minds cannot handle it, or their body. So they're like, I cannot live with myself anymore. I have to, finish it.
This reminds me, I had an interesting conversation last night with a friend. It was about the actor Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
The Transformers guy? Yeah. He had a crazy career in acting. But he was very self-obsessed. He was very egotistical.
Narcissist.
Yeah, very narcissist. He always thought that everything is about me, But he was a great actor. And then something happened in between where he lost everything in his life. His ex-girlfriend complained something.
Big wake-up call.
Yeah, he lost everything. And he says this in a podcast that he kept a gun on the table and he was like, I have nothing else, because he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
His reputation was gone zero. So he was like, I have nothing to live for. This is the only thing I can do now is just kill myself and end this. So I mean, it's so true. Like emotional.
His emotional bank balance was like zero.
Zero, yeah, absolutely.
It's zero, like, yeah.
He had everything else in life.
See?
He had success. He
He had success, he had the
fame,
money,
everything.
he had the health,
Yeah,
he had the social, he had everything, but he left out his emotional.
that's true.
So you have to be very careful with the emotional part to continuously invest in it. You know, I believe it is like if I ask you also like this question, you would also like recall how many people do you know that were very excited in a project or a business, but you came to them like a little bit. Like maybe 6 months later or 1 year, and you're like, oh, how's the business? It's like, no, I closed it, shut down. And you're like, why? And then you kind of see through them that they're emotionally, disaster.
Yeah.
They're emotionally bankrupted.
Absolutely.
So even he might have got the results, or you were like, yeah, but you had results. You had this and this. Why didn't you stay longer? You can't stay longer if your emotional is zero. That's why the motivation plays a big role. And that's why you need it through, proximity, through power of association, which you surround yourself with people to always uplift you.
Yeah.
Whether your parents, friends, or, most likely parents or friends won't do that because they're not used to that change.
True.
So you have to, look for these groups and peers who actually have similar goals so you can, push each other with.
Right. Who is the most important person in your life?
Myself.
Yourself. Wow.
Nobody loves me more than me.
Lovely.
Because if you don't have something, you cannot give it away.
True.
If you give it away, it's not even yours, it's fake. So it's better if you really want to give love through your work, then love yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't need anything. You can just love yourself through programming, because this is also another factor which I came across that a lot of people disregard. Like, oh, you like yourself too much, you're too proud, and so on. So, hey, if I don't love myself, how will I work? How will I give back? How will I think that I am deserving enough to give back? Yeah. So it's very contradicting, It's just these terms that are shared among people, which they don't even know what they're saying.
Absolutely. It's just like in a flight. They train you to save yourself first, then save others.
Exactly.
Yeah,
just like even, you go to the airplane, the child, first you put the mask, and then you put the mask to your son,
Right.
If you cannot help yourself, how would you help someone else?
Absolutely.
It's total logic.
I want to ask you a question. Like, there are a lot of videos that I have shot in my life.
Yes.
Where I feel like I'm not proud of that work.
Yeah.
And I would not want to upload it, or at least I would want less people to watch it.
Exactly. You feel like it's a little bit embarrassing. Yeah.
Right. But then there are a lot of videos, like some of my podcasts have been so great, and I feel like more and more people should watch it.
Yeah.
So are these books, in which category does this come in?
Absolutely. The first one, like even now when I read it, I was like, did I really write it? Like there is valuable information. Like basically I shared my story. Okay. The second one, no, even like I got a feedback from my dad. He's like, no, there's a big difference in the second one. Your vocabulary, the way you are structuring the actual message, and even you can tell by the volume of it, Yeah, I know. This by itself speaks. It's absolutely normal, and it's the same for everyone. If you look at the success of any person, it will be the same. Like I said, it is fixed.
True.
It doesn't change. It is absolutely fixed for all people.
Would you recommend this to everyone to read this in their lives?
Everyone. Unless you don't want to live a meaningful life.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask you, who is this not for?
It is for someone who's not coachable.
Oh.
It is for someone who thinks he knows everything. He knows it all. He's already done everything. There's nothing else to see in life.
Yeah.
And he's just, having the gun on the table.
I think in your preface, you wrote that keep an open mind and read what I'm writing in this book, and you will learn and succeed in life. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, like being coachable, like I said, even the most successful people are coachable, because it is super hard to do it alone. You never want to become successful alone. A lot of people actually have this disease and fear of, because they're not coming from a place of love. That's why they're not very successful. Right. If I share my secrets, if I share my knowledge, I won't be successful. No, share everything.
That's true.
Because just like you want everything in order to be successful from a person who will share everything, why don't you also share your success and how you got there? Right. Maybe karma will start to, put into place.
True. It was lovely. All right, guys. This was a mind-bending podcast, and anyone who wants to read and learn more, buy these books. It's on his website. We'll put this on the description. And it's also available on Amazon as well. Mr. Khalid, it was a lovely time talking to you. Man. Thank you for all the knowledge you've shared in this podcast.
Highly appreciate it.
And I hope you great success with your books and everything else.
Thank you so much, Sain. Thank you for having me, guys. Amazing team. I wish you all the best. Hope to see you again.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.